Have you had enough of comic book movies this year? Well, too bad! Here comes another one with X-Men Apocalypse, the follow-up to Days of Future Past, which reset the continuity of the universe, whilst also being a sequel to First Class, which was a quasi-reboot prequel of the original series, coming off the back of X-Men Origins, which was a straight-up prequel to the original trilogy, started by Bryan Singer, and then ruined by Brett Ratner. Also, there was another Wolverine movie somewhere in there, and Deadpool is loosely connected, but you know, they didn't really want to make that one. That being said, you don't need to know any of that to get into X-Men Apocalypse. All you need to know is this. Apocalypse has awoken, he's a mutant, an ancient being with an agenda skewed towards the destruction of the human race and rebuilding a better mutant-heavy world. Someone has to stop him. It'll probably be the X-Men, some of the X-Men. You know what? I remember when Magneto used to be all about killing everyone in the world, like he tried to do in X-Men 2. But you know what? Since then, I don't feel like his heart's really been in it. Bryan Singer returns again as director, making this his fourth X-Men film, along with James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, and a handful of other younger characters introduced in First Class and Days of Future Past. Now, reactions to this movie have been surprisingly mixed as of so far. I'd imagine that Fox thought they had a surefire hit on their hands by allowing such early press screenings, and that just kinda blew up in their face. And honestly, I can't really understand the negativity behind it, because X-Men Apocalypse is pretty solid. For starters, going in, I really didn't have any interest in what looked like fairly generic replacements for the likes of Scott Summers, Jean Grey, and Storm, when in actual fact, they fit those roles quite nicely. As did the new Nightcrawler, a character I feel has been sorely missed from the franchise due to Alan Cummings' reluctance to return. Can't really go wrong with the returning cast either. And although there's been talk of Jennifer Lawrence phoning it in, seeing as this is the last film in her X-Men contract, I thought she was fine. Nothing earth-shattering, but stories about her lack of enthusiasm showing up on screen may have been exaggerated. Let's talk action though. For me, the highlight again is Quicksilver. He has one extended sequence, very reminiscent of what we saw in Days of Future Past, but it's the characterization of him that makes him so engaging. And the rest of the action, you know, it's good enough. I don't feel anything when I see a city get destroyed anymore, and this was no exception. And the final sequence is clearly on a soundstage with a lot of green screen, but I can't say I was ever bored. In fact, it's very entertaining. Also, I really enjoyed the opening in terms of setting up the character of Apocalypse and how he was transported from ancient Egypt to the modern day. Well, to 1983. Very tense. Conversely, the lack of colour in the X-Men costumes again returns. It is explained away, and it looks like we will get that in the next movie, but it still bugs me. That's certainly not true of all character design, especially the villains, but it does carry over to that of Apocalypse, who's a menacing enough presence. You know what, he's actually probably one of the scarier mutants that we've seen, but in terms of how he looks, considering what was proven to be possible with his design, I just find all this a very strange choice. Also, some of the CGI doesn't hold up so well some of the time. In particular, a moment involving the outside of the X-Mansion just before the movie wraps up. But on the whole, explosions look like explosions, lightning looks like lightning, you know, all that. If you liked Days of Future Past, I don't think these two films are so different in terms of quality. First Class does remain my favourite, but there's fun to be had here in a pretty well-told narrative. Maybe the negative reaction comes from critics making comparisons to Civil War. I feel like if this movie came out before that and after Batman v Superman, there may have been a different response. But what the hell do I know? Nothing. Not a damn thing. Oh yeah, best movie ever. That's because I do 2 ratings. It's either best or worst, and this is best. It's a good one. It's alright. So what did you think of X-Men Apocalypse? And in addition to that, what is your favourite X-Men movie? You can't say Origins either because that's not a good one. And hey, if you're keen, I have a movie, comic, TV show, podcast called The Weekly Planet. It's out every Monday and linked below. This Monday we're talking... I don't actually know. But you know, we'll figure it out. Alright, that'll do it. Thanks everyone. Take care.